Finn Thatcher had always believed he knew what to expect from his assignments, until the day he stepped onto the polished floors of the Valaris Royal Palace. The air hummed faintly with bioelectric energy, and a glowing orb, no larger than a dinner plate, floated lazily toward him. Its voice chirped cheerfully. "Greetings, human. I am your emotional support lumosphere, trained in 14 forms of comfort. Resistance is futile." Finn blinked. He tried to decline, but the orb clung to his shoulder, vibrating softly. He suspected comfort meant constant, uninvited humming whenever he tried to rest. The palace staff, however, seemed delighted by his presence. As a human medic in a foreign empire, Finn's duties leaned heavily on ceremony. Signing pre-signed documents, nodding politely at alien dignitaries, and looking impressively competent while accomplishing very little. He began to accept that his role was mostly ornamental, until the therapy chamber doors hissed open. A frustrated voice commanded evacuation. Alien physicians scattered, some muttering about uncooperative royalty, others questioning human fragility. Finn stepped back, careful not to be flattened in the chaos. A handmaiden pointed directly at him. "Her Highness requests the human." Finn froze. Usually, requests were for tea, towels, or someone taller. A princess. Inside, Princess Kaelin sat in her hovering throne, her blue skin glowing softly in the bioelectric lights. Her long, elven-like ears were flattened in irritation, and her golden braids shimmered across the armrest. She fixed Finn with sharp eyes, unblinking. "You." "Yes, you," with the nervous posture. Finn swallowed and stepped forward, careful of the anti-gravity tiles underfoot that seemed to shift maliciously. Kaelin gestured impatiently at the hover console. "My physicians refuse to consider new approaches. They treat my condition as if it were carved into the universe. But your people heal differently. Show me." Finn cleared his throat and examined her medical file. Holographic scans labeled most nerves as probably irreversible or do not poke. Human medicine, however, had long experimented with neural regeneration, controlled impulses, targeted bioelectric therapy, coaxing nerves back to life. "You believe my nerves can be retrained?" Kaelin asked, tilting her head. "Yes." She smiled faintly. "Good. I am tired of being told what I cannot do." By the end of that first session, Finn had confirmed slight neural responses. Signals weak but present. Kaelin's eyes widened at the flicker of movement. She straightened her posture, voice firm. "We begin tomorrow." The next morning, Finn entered the therapy chamber to find her ready, hovering throne lowered almost to the floor. Her long ears twitched in amusement at his stuttering entrance. A swarm of drones circled her like anxious bees, projecting useless suggestions. Adjust humidity, administer celebratory pastries. Finn waved them away. The princess, however, had a calm determination, her eyes locked on him. The first session was subtle, gentle neural stimulation along her legs. When her muscles twitched, however slightly, she inhaled sharply. Finn's heart raced with cautious hope. Encouraged, he guided her through small shifts of weight. Trembling, deliberate, small, but undeniably progress. "If I fall, I'll blame you." "If I fall, I'll pretend it's planned," Finn replied. Kaelin tried again. Her foot moved. The drone squealed in excitement, and she stifled a smile behind her hand. Over weeks, their sessions evolved. She learned to anticipate the tingling sensations, sometimes dramatically bracing herself just to tease Finn. He, in turn, discovered her humor, dry and sharp, sparking laughter even in the most frustrating exercises. When he mispronounced alien anatomy, she nearly toppled from her throne, laughing so hard she had to hold her side. The palace whispered about their progress. Courtiers lingered outside the therapy chamber, pretending to admire walls or ceilings, but Kaelin always kept Finn close, lowering her voice when he achieved something significant. She no longer approached therapy as a battle she was destined to lose. Her focus, determination, and intelligence made her a formidable partner in every exercise. Sometimes, she even asked about human worlds, markets, oceans, sunsets, listening with a fascination that tightened Finn's chest in ways he did not expect. One evening, after a productive session, she asked quietly. Do humans ever become tired of hope? Finn paused. Her voice was soft, vulnerable even. We endure it, he said carefully. You expect more from me. You believe more. Her laugh was faint but real. A bond was forming, quiet and unspoken. Then came the day of the synchronized neural impulse trial. Finn explained it carefully, combining her own bioelectric field with controlled stimulation, asking her body to remember movements it had long abandoned. You're going to make me do something terrifying, aren't you? Kaylin asked, tilting her ears. Ambitiously optimistic, Finn corrected. Her leg rose, just a centimeter, but deliberate. Her gasp echoed in the chamber. Finn grinned. Step by step, the movement grew stronger. Weeks of preparation led to this. Muscles responding, nerves awakening, determination unbroken. By the time Finn finished guiding her through the exercise, she executed a controlled extension. Smooth, precise, and unmistakable. She lifted her eyes to him, breathless and triumphant. We did it. You did it, Finn whispered, though it felt impossible to assign credit to just one person. Word spread. Half the palace staff appeared at the door of the therapy chamber, pretending to admire walls or columns, watching the human who had achieved the impossible. Kaylin laughed at the absurdity, but the significance was not lost on Finn. Over time, their connection deepened. He noticed the subtleties in her expressions. She noted his reactions. She teased him for empathy he couldn't hide. He smiled at her determination and intelligence. Moments of silence, shared smiles, and quiet understanding filled the spaces between therapy sessions. One night, she spoke softly. When I walk again, I want the first place I stand to be somewhere meaningful. Finn asked if she had a place in mind. She hesitated. I will soon. The simplicity of her words, the quiet trust, left Finn feeling profoundly changed. He had arrived as a ceremonial afterthought. But he had become something more, a healer, a catalyst, and perhaps, to her, something precious. The day of the state ceremony arrived. The grand colonnade shimmered with crystalline pillars, refracting light in dazzling arcs. Nobles from across the star systems gathered. Finn's attention remained fixed on Kaylin. Weeks of progress had led her to this moment. She rose from her throne slowly, carefully, leaving the hovering support behind. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Kaylin's first steps were tentative, then deliberate, growing with confidence. She walked not toward the audience, but toward Finn. This human, she declared, placing a palm over his heart, gave me back my future. Applause thundered. Nobles cheered, soldiers saluted, drones celebrated electronically, and Finn fought the urge to faint. Beneath it all, an intimate understanding passed between them. A bond forged through struggle, trust, and triumph. That evening, in the quiet palace gardens, Kaylin walked without support. Her steps were steady, her posture relaxed. Bioluminescent flora shimmered like constellations around them. I fought to walk again for many reasons, she said. Duty, hope, pride. But the reason that burned brightest was you. Finn's breath caught. With you, she added, I wanted to stand beside you. Not above you. Not watching. Beside you. He laughed shakily. Then we will balance each other. A simple, profound truth hung between them, as extraordinary as the alien stars overhead. Hand in hand, human and princess stepped forward into a new chapter, together. The palace gardens glowed softly under twin moons as Finn and Princess Kaylin walked among bioluminescent flora, their steps synchronized in a quiet, unspoken rhythm. Finn still marveled at how effortless she made walking appear. Each confident stride reminded him that months of careful therapy had transformed impossibility into reality. But beneath the serenity of the night, Finn sensed new challenges gathering. Challenges that would test not only their skills but the fragile trust they had forged. You walk as though the universe has shifted, Finn said, attempting humor but failing to hide awe. Kaylin tilted her head, golden braids catching the moonlight. Perhaps it has. Or perhaps I merely found my balance. She paused, gaze sweeping across the gardens. For the first time, Finn noticed her expression tighten, not from effort, but concern. Finn. She began hesitantly. There are whispers. Not from the palace, but from the council. Some do not believe a human should influence the healing of a princess. Finn's heart sank. Months of triumph now faced political scrutiny. He had known it might come, but hearing it aloud made it real. Whispers do not dictate reality, he replied carefully. If your strength is real, and it is, they cannot undo it. Kaylin's ears lowered slightly. Strength alone does not protect from betrayal. Finn nodded. He understood. In the Athari Empire, appearances mattered as much as deeds, and progress, especially by a human, would provoke envy. The following morning, Finn entered the royal chamber to find a delegation from the Imperial Council waiting. Figures cloaked in patterned silk that shimmered like moving water, their expressions unreadable. One stepped forward, a counselor named Varys, known for his rigid adherence to tradition. Princess Kaylin, Varys began. We have observed your progress. Extraordinary, yes, but influenced by a human medic. We require proof that this method is safe, replicable, and not a threat to the integrity of our empire. Kaylin's gaze met Finn's. There was no fear, only quiet defiance. She spoke before he could respond. Finn Thatcher has guided me through a recovery that no counselor dared attempt. His techniques are safe. His methods are sound. And he has my complete trust. A murmur spread through the council, some voices skeptical, others incredulous. Finn swallowed, aware of how alien the human perspective must seem here. We will provide a demonstration, he said, stepping forward. Observe, and judge by results, not prejudice. They began in the palace's central bioelectric chamber, a large space with walls embedded with crystal nodes that hummed faintly. Finn set up neural stimulation arrays, ensuring Kaylin's body was ready. The council observed silently, their presence heavy, a pressure Finn had never encountered in human hospitals. The first step is controlled, he explained. We focus on coordinated neural impulses to retrain the nerves and restore mobility. Kaylin nodded, eyes focused. She had learned every nuance of the process over weeks. Finn initiated the sequence. Her muscles responded almost immediately, controlled movements flowing like water. The council watched, expressions unchanging. Then came the challenge, a coordinated movement involving multiple limbs simultaneously. Kaylin's brow furrowed, muscles straining, but she pressed on, guided by Finn's steady hands. Observe, Finn murmured to the council. Kaylin lifted her left leg, then shifted her weight, then extended an arm in a motion that was both graceful and precise. A small cheer escaped one of the junior counselors, quickly stifled. Varys stepped forward. Impressive, he admitted reluctantly. But can she maintain balance independently? Finn nodded. We are about to find out. Kaylin rose from the hover throne, standing without any support. Her steps were deliberate, careful, then gradually confident. She moved forward several meters without stumbling. The chamber held its breath. When she stopped and looked back at Finn, a faint smile crossed her lips, an acknowledgement of shared victory. Varys exhaled slowly. This, humans' methods are effective, he admitted. Though I remain cautious. Kaylin's voice cut through the tension. Caution is wise, but delay is unnecessary. Progress waits for no one. The council departed, some nodding, some still skeptical, but the palace buzzed with excitement. Finn and Kaylin, alone in the chamber afterward, allowed themselves a brief moment of triumph. You handled them well, Finn said, trying to hide the exhaustion behind a smile. As did you, Kaylin replied, her tone softening. Together, we are unstoppable. Finn smiled, though he could feel the fatigue of constant vigilance settling in. Yet, beneath the exhaustion, a thrill lingered, the feeling of shaping the impossible, of bending the universe just slightly in favor of hope. Weeks passed, and their work evolved. Kaylin began practicing walking through more complex environments, uneven terrain, stairs, even narrow bridges spanning glowing pools of bioelectric water. Finn was there for every step, adjusting impulses, monitoring fatigue, and offering encouragement. The Lumosphere hovered nearby, recording every detail, occasionally chirping advice or warnings. Emotional tension rising. Recommend deep breathing, it announced one afternoon. I'll manage, Finn muttered, swatting it gently aside. Kaylin's progress accelerated faster than Finn had anticipated. She navigated the palace corridors with precision, balancing her throne on one hand only when she wished to demonstrate mastery, often pausing to tease Finn with mock-dramatic slips. Their bond deepened in subtle ways, shared glances, inside jokes, unspoken understanding. One evening, as the twin moons rose, Finn found himself escorting Kaylin to the palace's outer terraces. A festival of bioluminescent flora illuminated the city below. Finn noticed that Kaylin's steps were effortless, confident, almost regal, yet her eyes searched the horizon. What do you see? He asked. Freedom, she whispered. Not the palace, not the throne, not the expectations of others. Just freedom. Finn realized that her recovery had been more than physical. It had restored her autonomy, her sense of self beyond ceremonial obligations. The princess who had once relied on machinery, protocols, and human compassion now walked among the stars as her own person. But peace was fleeting. A sudden alert blared across the palace communication network. Finn's heart sank. Intruders, announced the head of palace security. Unknown craft entering restricted airspace. Kaylin's ears twitched. Finn, this is no ordinary incursion. The craft landed on the palace's lower terraces, sleek, black, and silent. Figures emerged, clad in unfamiliar armor that shimmered with alien energy. They moved in perfect unison, their eyes hidden behind reflective visors. Who are they? Finn whispered, gripping the neural pad controls tightly. Kaylin's gaze sharpened. Scouts of the Voran Syndicate. They hunt weakness, and they will see none here. Finn's pulse quickened. He had faced hostile forces before, but never in this environment, never with the responsibility of protecting a recovering princess. We need to move, Kaylin said, taking his hand. Her touch was grounding, a reminder that she was no longer fragile. The palace erupted in controlled chaos. Security forces mobilized, drones scattered to intercept, and Finn found himself improvising medical support in the middle of an emerging battle. Kaylin led with calm precision, coordinating defensive maneuvers while maintaining her composure. Remember your training, Finn murmured, helping her navigate the lower terraces. I am walking, Finn, she replied firmly. I am not running. Her words were both literal and symbolic. They moved through the palace like dancers in perfect synchrony, Finn supporting, Kaylin leading, each step a statement of resilience. The Voran scouts advanced, energy blades humming, but Kaylin's regained agility allowed her to evade, strike, and coordinate countermeasures with surgical precision. Finn, relying on human ingenuity, rigged temporary energy fields using palace technology, giving them an edge. It was an intense, unrelenting trial. More than therapy, more than ceremony. It was a fight for survival, and Finn realized that his role had shifted entirely. He was no longer just a healer. He was her partner, her shield, her strategist. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time blurred in the frenzy of movement and light. Finally, the Voran retreat, their ships vanishing into the night sky. Silence returned, punctuated only by the soft hum of bioluminescent flora. Finn and Kaylin stood together on the terrace, breathless but victorious. We survived, Finn said, heart still hammering. We did more than survive, Kaylin replied. We walked through fire and emerged stronger. Together. Finn looked at her, seeing not the princess who needed help, but the woman who had fought beside him, trusted him, and reclaimed her own strength. Then perhaps, he said softly, this is only the beginning. Kaylin smiled, ears lifting, golden braids glinting in the moonlight. The beginning, yes, but also proof that humans are not to be underestimated. The lumosphere floated between them, its voice triumphant, heroic synergy achieved. Emotional resonance maximal. Finn groaned, burying his face in his hands. Kaylin laughed, a sound like wind chimes, carrying across the terrace. For the first time, Finn felt certain of one thing. The impossible was only impossible until someone walked through it. And they had just begun.
C'est vrai, Hype Train, les gars, c'est le moment. Si vous voulez participer au Hype Train, participez au fucking goal, drop a sub, là. Je vois pas ça. Ça fait juste des fucking cartes Pokémon. Les gars, ça veut même pas. J'ai vraiment le front lumineux, genre.
Masha'Allah. Trop joli.
Machallah. J'aurais aimé ça
shiny.
faire une blague, guys. Pour vrai, s'ils vendent des... Hey, yo, crazy, comment tu vas? Hey, j'ai drop 2 subs, là. Oui! Je le sais, Mother Girl.
W.
Mais faut se... Pense, voilà, faut se rendre au goal.
C'est ça, c'est un... Je sais plus c'est qui.
Mais c'est des... Je me sens... Tu sais, je peux pas juste aller devant un sans-abri et commencer à danser.
Non.
Mais tu sais, c'est-tu un sans-abri?
Mais j'arrive pas à voir c'est qui le fait.
Véloman! Salam alaikum. Salam alaikum, salam.
Alaikum salam.
Alaikum salam.
Bravo, bravo.
OK, là, on est où?